took 50 million
Got
years.
it. It's like a scavenger hunt.
Which is a post-apocalyptic book, but in a fun way.
Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Reading Queens podcast. We are here with a very special and long-awaited, you guys have not been waiting because you didn't know, but this has been moved a couple of times, interview with Casey Duncan.
Yay!
I guess I probably should use the name that you put on. Is that the name that you put on your books?
Casey Cordell.
Casey Cordell, my bad.
It's
Casey
okay.
Cordell. So we have one of our queens that you guys haven't met yet on the podcast today, and we're just going to do a little author interview. We're going to talk books, we're going to talk writing, so I'm very excited for her to be here. I'm Valia. Hello. I also have Hanna here.
Hi.
And
I am coming from my parents' house today up in the guest room. So if we hear little clacky dog feet, it's because there's a dog with little clacky feet downstairs. So it's exciting.
yes, and I have a dog that is very excited for her mother to return home from work that will be barking in the background. So it's going to be great, you guys.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah, basically. Okay, so Casey, hello. Welcome. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself and your books.
All right. Well, I am from LA, born and raised. I have been writing. I'm one of those people where they're like, when did you start writing? When I was 10. Or just when I was really, really little. Like, I had all the poem that I wrote about cats and poi in my mom's
Love it.
office, laminated with a drawing under it.
Aww.
I remember I wrote a poem about Thanksgiving food, that kind of a thing.
Perfect.
And I attempted to write my first novel, I think when I was in like the third grade. It was a mystery novel. It was the second book in the series, because even then I didn't like writing origin stories. So
You started with book 2?
yes. And I named the two main characters after my third grade best friends, Latasha and Chanel. Never finished it, but I still have it, still sitting on my shelf.
Wow.
And then other than that, I think I've just been kind of defined by just being generally like artsy, like all the arts. So I also like to draw and stuff, and I went to arts high school where I was I did theater. And I think so all that kind of stuff like that, like being like visual arts, theater, all of that kind of like came together to like form who I am as a writer.
Mhm.
And then I write books that are a little left of normal, but I have to embrace that. So my series that I have 2 books out, with a third coming out in a couple of months, is So You Survived the End of the World, which is a post-apocalyptic book, but in a fun way, about a guy who just loves music and is going around sharing his music. All these monsters and terrible people keep trying to just ruin his vibe. So a lot of action, a lot of humor, a lot of banter, and like characters that I hope that, people seem to really love the characters. And that's why, because I love writing characters. That's like where I always approach. And the second thing is a werewolf story that's on Valia serialized. And that one actually just went live over the weekend.
Oh, that's exciting.
Oh, look at that. Awesome.
Yeah, so that one is maybe slightly more normal, except of course I have to do a little bit of weird stuff. Take my little take on the werewolves. Still have some humor, lots of action, and great characters. That's the combination of those 3 things is what I hope to have in every book.
I love that. I love that a lot. Also, for some reason I didn't know that like you published Bella. Like I felt like you were like getting prepped for it, but for some reason I missed the part where you actually like, oh yeah, here it is.
No, literally,
that's what I was just thinking.
Okay, perfect. It's not just me.
Yeah, this is the fastest I've ever moved on. Like I usually like take my time and think about things and overthink things. But I was like, no, just do it. Move on it. Move at it. So I'm a little nervous, like publishing it as I'm like revising it. But you know what? It's going to be an experiment. It's going to be fun either way, is what I'm telling myself. So still a good story.
I love that. So the Bella story. Do you know, is that going to be is that going to be a series, or are you just going to do like one standalone Bella story?
It's going to be a series. I'm not sure how many books, at least 3 books, probably. 2 or 3, let's say. We'll see. We'll see where the story goes. The thing is, okay, so I actually wrote this one a long time ago. So there's only a handful of people who have ever read it. And one of those people is my mom. And she still 10 years later has been like, when am I going to get book two? When am I going to get book two? So I have to at least close out the story for my mom. So I have no idea though what happens in book two. So that's why I'm like, but yes,
Okay.
a series.
Fun. Did you ever watch, okay, this is going to be such a random thing because I cannot remember the name of this movie, but there was it's a show actually, not a movie. There was a dystopian show on Netflix and it was just for one season and it was literally about this kid. I'm pretty sure his name was Josh. And like it was like very humor-esque and he really loved music and he just like went around and I think he like skated around. That's always what comes up in my brain anytime you talk about your books. It's literally this show. I think it's like Daybreak, maybe is the name of it.
I feel like I watched at least one episode of it. I don't know if I finished it, but I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the title, and I can't remember why I didn't come back to it. But yes, I know what you're talking about without being able to give any specifics.
Yeah. No, it was great. Like I really enjoyed it. I felt like every episode got better and it was just like a lot of fun. And I was very sad that it got canceled because I needed more fun with it. But it's like fun dystopian. Here you go.
Yeah.
That's all that's what I picture in my brain anytime we talk about your books.
It's back to every show Valia loves getting canceled.
Yeah, let's not not talk about it. Move on.
I know that pain.
We need to keep Lockwood safe. We shouldn't talk about it.
Don't mention it. Oh my gosh. My obsession, you guys. My obsession. Everybody please go watch Lockwood and Co. And like get new people to watch it. Like new people sign up to Netflix immediately, please, and watch this show.
Cancel your Netflix, sign up, watch Lockwood so we get the second season.
Yes. Okay, that is all we're going to say because my heart will be crushed if anything happens to my babies. Moving on. This is about Casey, not my show situation. So Hannah has some questions for you. I'm going to let her take over for a few and just speed round, whatever it's called. Go for it.
Yeah. We'll see. I tried to make questions that were like, would take a long time to answer. So I don't know if we call this speed round, but we'll go for it.
I was going to say I tend to be a little wordy, so I don't know if speed round is definitely.
We'll see how it goes. Okay, so my first question for you, I know that like me and Tess, you are an anime addict.
Yes.
And I'm just curious, what are your top 3 influences for your books? Is it like shows, books you've read? If you could pick 3 works that you think have influenced you the most as a storyteller, what would they be? And why are they One Piece? Okay.
First of all, it's not fair to only have 3, but
I know, but we have to keep it to a reasonable length of podcast. So we do.
I'm definitely going to cheat, but okay. So, and since I've been writing since I was really young, a lot of my influences were when I was younger. So one of them is Animorphs.
Okay, good.
Which is the series that I was obsessed with starting in junior high, like when it first came out. And that was like first of the month. Like the books weren't even out on the shelf yet. And I was at the bookstore, like, I know you have them back there. Go get it. Go get it. We could be on vacation. We used to do vacation in Palm Springs every year, which is just this desert out in California. And I'd be like, drop everything. I know we're on vacation. We got to go to the bookstore. So yeah, I think that had a big influence on me. As a matter of fact, there are still there are body snatchers in my post-apocalyptic story. That's definitely an influence there. And then, Marco, the funny one, was always my favorite character. And so I was actually thinking about Marco and something the other day. And I was like, there's always a Marco in my stories. And then secondly, I know that we later learned that, Joss Whedon is not a good person. It's a very toxic person. But if I'm answering honestly, Buffy was a huge influence on me. I didn't know that. We didn't know that in the 90s.
And I think Buffy still holds up in a lot of ways,
Yeah. But, like, exactly. I mean, it's kind of like that question of how you separate the creator from the creation. But but like just like having humor as well as action, strong female who can kick butt, but also like, getting you emotionally, getting you in the feel. So all of that stuff that definitely rocked my world. And then I'm just going to quickly mention some honorable mentions. I'm not going to go into them. This is my cheat. Spider-Man, the animated series, Yu Hakusho, both the manga and the anime, even though I watched the anime first, Inuyasha, like those are definitely some things that had influence on me. But I have to say, of all my favorite anime, Cowboy Bebop is the one that I think had like a direct, like a really strong influence on me because it just made you feel stuff, like
And
um
that one's so music heavy, and
yes,
I can see how that would really influence you. Did you
exactly.
like the show or hate the show, the live action?
I didn't get past the first episode. So it
See,
was right.
I liked it, but I know I was in like a heavy minority there.
Yeah.
Speaking
It
of
just
shows that
didn't
I never get a second season.
it just didn't feel like, I don't mind. Okay, so I'm pretty hard on adaptations, but
Yeah.
if it as long as it feels like the original, and it just
Hmm.
didn't
Hmm.
have that feel. And I mean,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I'm biased because it's like one of my top animes. I've watched it a million times, it's the soundtrack a million times. But yeah.
Hmm. We won't go too far into Cowboy Bebop. That's a whole like sidetrack on its own. But okay. Question number 2 though is deeper into the music. So me and you have been doing some body doubling this week, which people don't know what that is. It's where we kind of are like coworkers but on mute. So there's always someone around to like make sure you get your work done, which I personally needed a lot. So thank you for helping me get my work done. But
Of
I
course.
would laugh because I would look over and it'd be on mute in case you would just be like singing, obviously at the top of her lungs while working on mute. Which sorry to out you, but it was adorable. So I just wanted to ask, like, music is such a big part of your writing. Do you have specific playlists for your books? Like, do you listen to music while you write? Does it have to be the right music? And do you like come up with your own playlist for them?
Yes and no. Because so one thing I do have playlists for specifically So You Survive the End of the World. I come up with a playlist for each one because there are actually a list. I talk about songs in each book.
Right, so
And
they're
so
the
I
songs that they play in the book
yeah,
or have
yeah.
played. Yeah.
So for each book I do have a playlist. I give that to my email list if anybody cares to like listen to the actual songs. And then So You Survive the End of the World I actually did have or still do have like a playlist that I created like way back in the beginning, where it was like, oh, this made me think of this character, this makes me think of this kind of plot and stuff like that. But I don't actually listen to it while I'm writing.
Mm-hmm.
But I do listen to music as I write, as you know. And it's either just like my liked songs on Spotify, so it's like all my favorite songs or just songs that I like, and that's why you can catch me singing along to it. So I'm like, oh, that's my jam. Or whatever I'm obsessed with at the moment. It's like one album that I'm just listening to all day for like a week straight.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I listen to music while I write, but I don't sing. I don't know if you were writing while you were singing. If so, I'm impressed with your multitasking ability.
Yeah, no
It's
kidding.
pretty
Just a
awesome.
little break. We'll call it a break. We'll call it a singing break.
Just
That's
like
cute.
when you're like the right part comes on, you gotta take a little break and have a little sing.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah,
she
yeah.
dance
That's good for
too?
the process.
I wasn't
Well,
part of this thing, so does she
I mean,
dance? Do you
she's
dance?
not fully still, but I wouldn't
Okay.
she's still in her seat. I mean, if you look at her right now, she's like I don't think she's a person that can hold still.
Yeah, true,
True
true.
enough.
So, but it really was more singing than dancing. Yeah.
Yeah. This is why I can't have songs with like words when I write, because that's me the whole time and nothing gets done because I'm just singing to like
Just like singing your moment.
everything. Yeah.
And you know what? Sometimes I listen to, or a lot of times I listen to music in other languages because I was like, well, I can't sing along, so I don't know the language and won't be distracted. But you listen to it enough times, you start to think that you can sing along, even though it's in like
Mhm.
Spanish or like, I
Oh,
don't know,
totally.
Japanese or something. You're like,
Yeah, it
Yeah.
has to be
Yeah.
just music. Just Pirates of the Caribbean soundtrack. That's Lord of the Rings soundtrack. That's those are two of mine.
Although, like, even when it's instrumental, like, I will be like, so there's really no escape for me. I just have to accept myself as I am.
I love it.
Love it.
I love it. I listen to lo-fi, so it's pretty background, but still
Okay,
like
yeah.
it's nice enough that I like enjoy it and it gets me into the mood, but it doesn't distract me because I am also distractible. But I do always laugh. I listened to the Last of the Mohicans soundtrack when I was writing one section of The Rose Gate. And then later on when I was editing, I found myself humming the same song that I had been writing to because it was just like the soundtrack to that part.
Yeah.
That's cute.
Such a good soundtrack. Anyway, moving on. I knew you must have a playlist for each of your books. They're so because they're about music, so
Yeah,
you got to then. All right, my last one is my least serious one because the other ones were very, very serious. And my question is, if your books could be a food, what would they be? You can pick a different food for each book if you need to.
Well, only have an answer for Slings Fight in the World.
I demand an answer for all of them.
I was gonna say maybe this applies to all of my everything. I mean, this is just my writing in general, but I would say, pineapple pizza, because it's like an acquired taste. You either love it, like people like hate it. I think they hate the idea. They haven't even tried it, and they hate it. But the people who love it, like go hard for it, and that's because I love pineapple. Like, it's specifically my combination is pineapple, black olives, and pepperoni.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, it's a combination that you wouldn't think works, and it does. And it's admitted. I will admit that it's weird, but you're getting a little bit of that sweet, a little bit of that saucy, a little bit of a kick. So yeah, that's.
I'd eat that. That seems good.
Yeah. Which also, fun fact, which I learned fairly recently, both Hawaiian pizza and California rolls were apparently created in Canada, but named after U.S. states.
I learned this too, because we're both chronically on TikTok, as is Valia. The California rolls are like, it stands for crab avocado.
Apparently so.
Oh, that's hilarious.
CA, yeah.
Wow.
Us Canadians coming up with what we think are clever names for foods.
And Americans taking over.
CA is also like the abbreviation for Canada. Like, what's in California?
I know. It couldn't be a Canada roll. Like, we got to make it exotic.
Wow, that's
all my deep questions.
I love it. That was beautiful. Speaking of TikTok, Casey,
Yes.
you're on TikTok.
I am on TikTok.
How's that going? Are you having fun?
I am having fun. I sometimes get very inconsistent, but I do have fun. I actually enjoy creating fun little videos and interacting with the people who are on there. Like, I've met or interacted with some really cool people out there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I will social media of choice, hey?
Yes.
Yeah, I will definitely link the socials and books and maybe newsletter so people can get that music list from you.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I will put all of that in the description so you guys can have easy access to it. But yeah, Casey talked about her art and stuff like that. She shares that on her TikTok. She did these collages, and are they called collages? Is that what they are?
Yeah,
cut papers.
Yeah, but they were really cool. So you guys can check that out. Just stalk her everywhere, but carefully from afar. So yeah, let's talk about what are you working on next?
So yeah, Slave Side End of the World 3. I'm hoping to have that out in the spring. I mean, I will have that out in the spring.
Yeah, you will.
Yes. And then the next one is, let's see, and then of course that other thing, I keep forgetting what it's called because I literally just gave it a title over the weekend. My love story, which I settled with Silver Moon Arcada.
Okay.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
I like that.
Thanks.
She posted about 20 options in our author group and said you had narrowed it down from like 60 or something.
Yes, that was me narrowing it.
While I get like 2 names and I'm like, which one of these 2 I can name my book?
I feel like titles either come like right away or like they take forever. Like So You Swept in the World, the title actually came first. And I was like, boy, I better come up with something to go with this. But this werewolf one, yeah. But it has a name now. It's there.
I love it. I'll also link that too, so you guys can check it out. Do they still do that whole thing where you can read the first 3 chapters for free when you sign up for Kindle Vella?
Yes, the first 3 chapters free, and then if you're new on Vella, you have 200 free tokens, which you unlock episodes using tokens. Which 200 tokens can get you a good way through a story.
So there you go, you guys. If you haven't checked out Vela yet for some reason, because we've been preaching about it for Joanna's books and Kristen's books, here's another reason for you to check it out. Amazon should hook us up with some deals or something. We keep preaching about this platform thing, but yeah, that's really fun. I'm very excited to I will be checking that out because I have that. But anyway,
I would be checking it out if I wasn't in Canada.
But you're in Canada.
Amazon's still being mean to us.
I'll send you screenshots.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go. Okay, so then, I mean, let's talk about what you're reading then, because you write cool books. Do you read cool books?
I think so. Well, right now I am And well, right now I've been doing so much writing that like I feel like I've been reading much slower than I
Okay.
have in the past. So I'm actually reading Joanna's book, Courting Fae, Thieves, and Crowns. Yes, I think I got it all.
Yeah.
Yes. So I've been reading that one just a little bit every night. So much in the style of Bella. Even though I'm reading the
Yes.
KU version, I'm still reading in the style of Bella. And then I just started, let's see, Kimberly Lemming, I think is her name, which I just want to read her books based on the titles because she has amazing titles. So I'm starting with her first one, which is That Time I Got Drunk and Saved the Demon.
Oh yeah. I started that actually.
I did
Yeah.
too.
I started the audiobook like literally like as I was like folding, like sorting laundry last night. So I'm just really into it. So far it's funny. Okay. She definitely has a good voice.
So speaking of reading really fast before we move on, but do you read in your genre? Like, I mean, I guess you have a very specific genre that you write in, so maybe not, but do you feel like you don't read as much in like dystopian or whatever humor books when you're writing?
Well, I don't feel like I read as much. Like I read some post-apocalyptic and dystopian, but not as much because I like to read like fun and funny books.
Okay.
So, so that's where I'm kind of like in a weird little niche because like I love movies like Zombieland and Shaun of the Dead.
Right.
And I feel like it is kind of hard to find that in books. Like they're there, but they're a little hard to find, like that mix between humor and like, horror or like terrible things. But also Soy Sweat in the World is novellas. So I'm always looking for like really cool novellas, especially novella series, which there are a couple of their Murderbot Diaries is like one of my favorite.
That one is on my list. I need to read those.
Which I think it does add that humor and that like, just a character that you love. So even though like it's a space opera, where there are some terrible things about the world, but it's about the universe, whatever. But anyway, yeah. So, and then as far as humor, yeah, I do love finding a good funny book. Let's see, I think last year I finally read My Dear Lady Jane, which was hilarious. What were some other funny books I've read recently? I can't think off the top of my head. I can never think of
That's all right.
But yeah.
I mean, we read a book and we forget what it's called and everything about it, so it's fine.
Instantly.
This is a normal thing. Nobody asked us what we read in the last whatever. But anyway. Well, yeah. So thank you so much for being here. We're gonna wrap it up here. This was just like a quick get to know you. I will leave all the links in the description. Make sure to follow Casey and maybe she'll be back for another episode. Maybe.
We've been trying to convince her.
We'll see. So yeah, that will be all for us. Hannah is going to go back to her parents' house.
Family time.
There you go. That's where we're going. I'm gonna get some dinner because yeah, I am still in Scotland, and yes, it is night here. Weird. Still getting used to that. But anyway, yeah. So before you guys go, make sure to give us a follow on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a star rating or review. Both of those help. Tell everybody about our amazing podcast. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Reading Queens Pod. I mean, you guys know the spiel. I do it every single time. You need to come hang out with us every Wednesday. New episode. We are the best. And that is all I have to say about that. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.